Welcome to the Inner Flame podcast where stardust meets the body. This week of April, what is it? It's April 20th through the 26th. We've got a pretty full week. And crazily enough, I recorded this yesterday and I had no audio. So I really hope my microphone's turned the whole way up. I really hope we're good here. Okay, so let's get into it because there's a lot to discuss. I wrote things down. I pull the cards a couple days in advance to just oh wow, what's going on here? To allow the energy to actually settle, and to allow me to maybe get some more pings on things that I want to say. So as we begin with this week, okay, we've got this protection, loyalty, safety, trust. And what's really interesting is I think this is really going to come through the lens of sharing your wisdom, really aligning with your own intuition, your nudges, your wisdom that you have to share, right? And through the lens of speaking it, okay? And that triggers us so much because if we're not used to speaking our truth or speaking from a place of our nudges or our intuition or our gut feelings, it's immediately affecting our nervous system where we're like, oh, no, I'm not even going to do that. It's not safe. And this week is really going to ask, I think, for reinforcing personal boundaries and heightened empowerment and trusting your own wisdom. Personal authenticity, what does that look like? And I think, how do we really build our authenticity if we don't trust ourselves? We literally can't. So this is saying, reinforcing boundaries for you, right? Building trust for your own experiences, in trusting what you get. And this might be small, right? This might be building in a small way. Journal your nudges, right? Notice when you're feeling them. Speak them and celebrate yourself, right? Celebrate, share with somebody, hey, I just want you to, I really just want to take this moment to celebrate myself. This has been a big pattern in my life where I don't speak up, and I just did, and I really want to congratulate myself. This is a huge deal, right? This is developing and expanding your capacity to trust yourself and create safety within your body and become loyal to you. And I think that is such a big part of us turning on the soul path, or starting to walk on the soul path, right? Is being authentically ourselves, but we can't do that without really developing trust within ourselves. And this is I just want to say, energetically, this is go time. They are not fucking around, and when I say they, it's the collective energies, right? Our higher selves, okay? It is not the new paradigm energy. It is not asking us to stay in the back seat and be passive. This is saying, get out of the fucking car and drive your own car, right? This is big, big energy. And so this week, I think we're going to see how can I overcome self-doubt? And when am I feeling self-doubt? Is the self-doubt because I'm scared to say something? Is the self-doubt because I'm fearful I will be criticized? Fear, I've said this before, and I think I posted it a couple of times, but fear is most of the time, right? Not all the time. I mean, you could be outside and there might be a fucking dragon or tiger standing right in front of you, but most of the time, fear is false evidence appearing real. So where can we take that and go, okay, this isn't real. I'm actually just making this up. And where can I develop more trust in using my voice, right? And being authentically me. We go into the middle of the week, and this is basically it's time to embrace your weirdness. And I feel like I had a dream about this. Darn. Let me see. I might have it. It's going to drive me nuts. Okay. I don't have it. That's okay. Embrace your weirdness, face your true north, okay? And this is going to be with compassion. This is not a joke. These are the energies of the new paradigm, right? The new paradigm is literally all about us embracing ourselves. And when I channel Celeste, she talks about us becoming the new human and the self-governing human. And the self-governing human is completely embracing their own weirdness. And that's like, oh God, I didn't realize that I love painting in the nude. Or, oh gosh, I didn't realize that I love playing in the garden and talking to earthworms. Oh God, I didn't realize that I really I sing to myself in the shower, but I had no idea that those are like, lyrics to my life. This is really about embracing us, okay? And this is about self-love and creating this on the inside while being able to show it on the outside, if that makes sense, okay? So this is, how can I soften into loving myself and knowing that I'm loving myself? This is also like, okay, I feel like we might feel like we don't have enough information. And not even that. It's almost like, okay, are you letting go of your prior fear? Okay. This is almost saying to me, embrace your weirdness, know that you are loved. Are you letting fear again block this path, right? Like I need more information before I share this, or I need it to be perfect before I share this, or I need all the things to fall into place before I start the damn business, or I start the podcast, or I start painting. I need to know exactly how to paint like Picasso before I do this, right? This is saying maybe you don't actually need the research, okay? Or maybe you need the research of what the naked truth is. And what is the naked truth? The naked truth is yourself, right? Your naked self. Who are you without all the masks, without all the versions of yourself that you think you have to be, okay? Are you letting fear block you? And are you needing it to be a certain way, perfect before doing it, okay? And this is like really, really interesting here. And I think there's going to be a couple of things. And this is where, this is a picture I took, okay? I saw this. The art of not being ready, but doing it anyway, will carry you farther than perfection ever could. And there's so much in that. There's so much freedom in doing something that might make you look absolutely stupid. And it doesn't matter because it's part of the path, right? It's part of going, well, I've got to figure out myself and I don't need to know. There's a learning curve that we all need to kind of go through. And that's not just to look stupid. It's so we can learn to trust ourselves, right? It's to learn the hiccups of what one goes through to find their voice in the first place. Okay, I spoke my truth, but I actually I went into collapse, or I'm not even sure what other example I want to use here, but it's like we are constantly putting this pressure on ourselves for it to be perfect or for it to look a certain way. And, what's interesting is I recorded this yesterday, no audio. I'm recording it right now, but beforehand I was in a conversation with a friend and her dog is getting a lot of tests done right now and it's scary. And one of the things that came through from her dog was there might be a path opening up for her to explore this avenue with animals. Nervous system work, fascia work, lymph work, which is very much already in her neck of the woods, but specifically for dogs. Now, my friend is the most incredible person, but she can digest information like no one I've ever met in my life. That's like one of her superpowers. But she also has a hard time of sometimes letting it be a process. And that's what came up for her was it doesn't have to be perfect right now. It's an exploration, right? And so that's one of the big messages is like, where can we let ourselves feel stupid while we're figuring it out? And it's not really feeling stupid, right? It's just knowing, okay, I'm at the beginning stages, okay? And I'm gonna go through this as I build. And I'm gonna collect my own information as I keep moving forward and I do the damn thing, okay? We end then with the week with divine timing. There's a big amount of energy here around timing. And what's really interesting is I feel like this is really going to be a timeline shift for many of us, okay? There is a feedback loop that's been going and going and going. This is a really big opportunity to be breaking old patterns, to be rewriting new ones. There's going to be like emotional echoes, it feels like, with I don't want to say with, maybe coming up for things. And instead of reacting, this is like we're being asked to sit back and listen. What's coming up? What's my reaction? Can I notice what my normal reaction is? Can I interrupt the loop here and do something different, which is to pause and listen? And can I let this go? And this feels like there's going to be a lot of fears maybe coming up around timing, okay? This is also, I feel like there's a big thing here about trusting your own timing. So there might be this feeling of watching somebody else and going, they're so much further ahead of me. And that's actually not the truth, right? Because we all are on different waves. And I shared this a little bit in the comparison, like frustration and comparison and how it lives in your body, of remembering that we each or we all are sharing through the lens of our lived experience in this now moment. And just because somebody else is further along, they're on their own wave, right? We're on our own wave. And to really let go and trust this process. I feel like there's a big opportunity here for us to interrupt those feedback loops. And again, like this timeline shift, this nervous system recalibration, it feels really massively big. You know, this affirmation of like basically saying, I trust where I'm at and I trust where I'm going and I trust how I get there. That's really freeing, you know, because you're really stepping back into your own power, your own autonomy of your own timing and your own path. And I think this is really, really, really big. So I think that's the biggest thing I want to say with that specifically is there's going to be things that are going to be coming up that are going to feel like you're on the wrong path or you're on the timing is all wrong or you're running out of time, and kind of compound these fears that typically get you to react in a way that you usually react, right? Like that's where you're seeing this pattern, or the emotional echo that's kind of looping and looping and looping. But right now there's this superpower accessible to us to be able to sit back and go, okay, I can see that my body or my brain is telling me I've got to do more, or I'm not doing enough. And what does it feel if I just sit and do the opposite of what I normally do? But what's being asked is to interrupt these loops, especially the emotional echoes, you know? And I saw something the other day that our thoughts are what is actually creating our reality. And so until we can really break the pattern of having these habitual thoughts, right? These emotional loops, we are not actually living in the present moment. We are actually living in the past, and the past is what is controlling our future. So until we can stop these loops, we're going to have a harder time becoming ourselves, because we're letting the past dictate what we want to do now and what we want to do for the future. I feel like there's could be this really big collapse around this. Like some people might be like, forget it, I give up. But this is actually not what's being asked right now. This is being, you're being asked to like still go, but create safety in your body. Start trusting yourself. Like, who cares if you're wrong? You know what? I'm really sorry I was wrong there. So what? Like, you're speaking up. You're also like, if you're listening to your intuition, this also is gonna, I feel like, a big one too. Like, for back at the beginning of the week, where you're trusting yourself, you're creating safety, you're gonna share your wisdom, you're speaking about it. It almost feels like you might feel like you're moving towards something for yourself. And somebody might say, oh, I did that and it did not work out for me. And right in that moment where you're like, well, wait, I just listened to my intuition and this is what I'm guided to do. And then you don't listen to that because somebody outside of you told you you had to do it differently. That is where we are losing, or we are, giving up our own autonomy, right? We are allowing an external force to dictate what we do internally. And I think that's where, again, we're being asked to just trust our own process, trust the information that we're getting. There's something else that I wanted to say about embracing your weirdness, and I can't remember what it was. You are loved, knowing that you're not for everybody, and what is your naked truth. And I feel like there was something else that was trying to come through about this specifically. I think what I want to say is this is, again, an opportunity to maybe even gather information of how often we let an external force dictate us internally. And I also want to rephrase that as well. It's like, how often are we letting an external force, how often are we looking to an external force to make us feel better, right? Or to tell us how to be, or to tell us how to get there, rather than tuning back in and creating that coherence within ourselves, okay? Because again, that's like the new human, that's the new paradigm energy that we're looking at. It's like, well, we don't really need anything externally. We actually have it all internally. But what is creating our reality? Is it the past version of ourselves, or are we actually, interrupting that feedback loop where we can actually create something new? All right, so there's a lot going on this week. I'm definitely going to be giving, little nuggets throughout the week. This feels pretty powerful. So again, it's like heightened empowerment, trusting your own inner wisdom, personal authenticity, overcoming self-doubt, small practices throughout your day that are like, whoa, I got to celebrate myself there. Like, I really did a big thing. And it might not be big to anybody else, but it is big to you, okay? Reinforcing boundaries around your intuition, where you are, what you're learning, right? Then really being able to soften and offer yourself some compassion and self-love on your weirdness, like who you're here to be. I feel like I saw this post the other day where it was like, I really want to be Martha Stewart, but I've realized I'm just Roseanne. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like that could be a level of weirdness. And all the time, it's like, oh, I want to be out there in the dress and this and it be so. No, that's not me. I'm out there in my bare feet looking, who knows? I don't know what I'm looking like sometimes, but it's definitely not in a dress and like quaint, okay? Embrace our weirdness and gather this information, right? Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe you're being nudged to do something that's taking you out of this old pattern of who you are, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Trust yourself to quote unquote be stupid, right? Learn as you go, okay? Also gather information around what's your naked truth? What is the naked self? Okay, what does that look like to you? Who are you? Stop letting fear block you. And then we've got divine timing. So knowing that there's a timeline shift, there's massive amount of opportunity here for us to break these old patterns, rewrite new patterns for ourselves. And listen. Even if you don't know what the new pattern is going to be, listen. Go, wow, I can see myself wanting to react here, and I don't like that. I'm going to sit back and listen and maybe do the opposite. Okay. I wish you a wonderful week. This is a big one. It's amazing. I'd love to hear in the comments, what you're feeling, what's coming up for you. I try to give this in such a way, but there's always like the subtleties of it. So be sure to follow on Instagram or here on Substack too, where I can go a little bit deeper with the other messages that are coming up throughout the week. Okay, I'd love to hear from the chat, hear from you in the chat, or you can leave a comment and I would love to get back to you. And I will see you next week.